No strike as announced in the oil sector in Gabon. The strike was avoided yesterday after several days of negotiations between government and oil workers' organization. The main leaders of the Lamuka coalition meet this Monday, July 29th, for the evaluation of their platform. Despite their differences, Moise Katumbi, Jean-Pierre Bemba, Adolphe Muzitu, and Martin Fayulu will be present in Lubumbashi unless last-minute mishap. Three people were killed and at least 15 others injured after a shooting that sent panicked people running at the annual festival in California. More than a dozen ambulances, fire department units were sent to the fest, and California governor called the incidents nothing short of horrific. That's all for our top stories today. Stay tuned for more details in this newscast. In Gabon, there will be no strike in the oil sector. The National Petroleum Employees Organization, whose strike notice was due to end this Sunday, has reversed its decision. The decision comes at the end of several days of negotiations between the Gabonese Minister of Oil, that of Labor, and the staff delegates of the oil company Adax Petroleum. An agreement that should in a few days lead to the holding of a restrictive assembly. Out of 8 main points contained in the specification, only a few await clarification from the government. As a reminder, the workers' organization of the oil sector demanded, among other requirements, the regularization of the socio-professional situation of workers between 2011 and 2018 and the granting of benefits to workers who have been promoted. In the RC, on one hand, there will be Moise Katumbi, who intends to make the Republican opposition a requirement. On the other hand, Martin Fayulu, who always claims the truth of the ballot boxes, and Jean-Pierre Bemba remains almost silent and undecided since the results of the last presidential elections in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Among other points of the Lubumbashi reunion, there will be discussion on the designation of Moise Katumbi's successor to the coordination of the opposition coalition Lamuka. According to many analysts, Jean-Pierre Bemba could be the one who will take over this coalition at the end of discussions. In addition to the issue related to the name of the future coordinator, Lamuka's future remains the ultimate challenge in view of many differences of opinion arising from the presidential election of 30th December 2018 won by Felix Tshisekedi. Isolated and always claiming his victory, Martin Fayulu will undoubtedly keep the same position, but one of these supporters, in this case Moise Katumbi, has already announced his position within the political class of the opposition. The only position still not clear and still misunderstood is that of Jean-Pierre Bemba, who has not yet uttered a single word. The meeting of Lubumbashi comes to clarify the positions of both, but above all to grant a new life and a new hope to Lamuka to make its comeback. 740,000 Rohingya fled the repression of the Burmese army in 2017 and joined 200,000 already living in squalid conditions in nearly 3 dozen camps in the coastal district of Cox's Bazar in Bangladesh. The two countries signed the repatriation agreement 2 years ago, but so far virtually no Rohingya has volunteered to return to Myanmar, where the group is facing decades of repression.
And we try to explain the preparations for their return, and we have in principle agreed to discuss further on 3 areas. One is to continue to have a dialogues with them.
The delegation led by the country's permanent secretary for foreign affairs arrived on Saturday in the district of Cox's Bazar to explain the preparations for the return of the Rohingya to northern Rakhine state. The 3 regions are expanding dialogue between the two parties, involving delegates from Southeast Asian nations and discussing with the Bangladeshi ministries on the repatriation of Hindus and Rohingya Christians.
We are also willing to bring them back, especially 444 Hindu communities here. So we will continue to discuss with the Bangladesh government.
Mohibullah, the Rohingyas leader of the Muslim community, told the delegation that citizens wanted citizenship, security and safety as precautions for their return to Rakhine. They also wanted to return to their villages and not to government-built camps. So far, Myanmar denies citizenship to the minority and calls them Bengalis, insinuating that the Rohingya are illegal immigrants from Bangladesh. Several people held up signs with a picture of the 31-year-old young man and the inscription "À la mémoire de Mamadou Barry," which stands for "to the memory of Mamadou Barry." Some rode up in the Guinea flag, red, yellow and green, while others wore t-shirts with the university photo. "Stop racism and justice for Dr. Mamadou Barry," shouted the crowd. In Conakry, the Guinean capital, 100 people also demonstrated in front of the French embassy to condemn the murder, with signs on which one could read "Stop to racism, not to violence." Anti-racist organization which took part in the civil action in this case called on its side to organize rallies and marches in the cities of France between Friday and Sunday to say no to anti-black racism and no to all forms of racist hatred. Barry was killed because he is different. It is because he is different. Now we must also be responsible. It is not a matter of waging war. It is a matter of being together to build cohesion around a concept that is important, that is necessary on the fight against racism, on the fight against intolerance, says Kate Sheikh, the ambassador to the International Commission on Human Rights. 31-year-old Mamadou Barry, father of 2-year-old children, died as a result of his injuries after being beaten in the street during an assault described as racist by his relatives in Cantaleu, a suburb of Rouen. A man was arrested this Monday morning, but his detention was lifted for medical reasons and he was hospitalized. Three people killed and at least 15 injured after a shooting Sunday evening at a festival in Gilroy, California, according to police. One gunman was killed by police officers at the scene. Gilroy police chief said early Monday morning. Police are searching for a possible second person involved, though it's unclear whether that person also fired on the crowd or assisted the shooter. More than a dozen ambulances and fire department units were also dispatched to the festival grounds located about 30 miles south of San Jose, according to the San Francisco Chronicle. Santa Clara Valley Health and Hospital System spokesman said that at least 11 people with gunshot wounds were being treated at area hospitals. They were in fair to critical condition. The Gilroy Police Department tweeted Sunday night that it has set up a center where families can find their loved ones. California Governor, a Democrat, called the incident nothing short of horrific. San Jose Mayor Sam Liccardo, a Democrat, tweeted that the city's police and the fire department were sent to Gilroy to help with what he called a horrific shooting. No strike as announced in the oil sector in Gabon. The strike was avoided yesterday after several days of negotiations between government and oil workers' organization. The main leaders of the Lamuka coalition meet this Monday, July 29th, for the evaluation of their platform despite their differences. Moise Katumbi, Jean-Pierre Bemba, Adolphe Mouzitou and Martin Fayulu will be present in Lumumbashi unless last-minute mishap. Three people were killed and at least 15 others injured after a shooting that sent panicked people running at the annual festival in California. More than a dozen ambulances, fire department units were sent to the fest, and California governor called the incidents nothing short of horrific. That's the end of our newscast of the day, but keep watching Gabon 24 for further news.